What's going on, my people? It's your man, Five Angels. You know, the law of return, you have to be born again. Jesus was right. But that shit was meant to be, that shit was meant to be taken literally. Be born again. You have to be born again, my people, in another mother's womb. That's how it goes. Even Job said that in the Bible. He said, what's the purpose of life? Like, you know, when I'm doing all of this, only to have to return to another mother's womb. Job knew about the law of return. And Jesus, the supposed Jesus, did too. And that's all allegorical. That's all. Jesus is a metaphor. That's all. But that was meant to be taken literally. Born again. You have to be born again. And that's how people view the Bible. They take the shit literally. You know what I mean? And they can't see the bigger meaning behind, like the real meaning behind it. You know what I'm saying? Like for real. Like in Genesis, Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve was actually, Adam was a group of men, a group and a race of men of mankind at the time. Eve was a group and a race of women, all women at the time. And supposedly they came from the Lemurians. Lemurians was the race of mankind that existed before the Atlanteans. The leftover ones from Lemuria, before it had sunk in the Pacific Ocean, they the ones who started Atlantis, the Atlanteans. And then the leftover Atlanteans from when Atlantis sunk in the Atlantic Ocean, and scientists, they found out that at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean is Atlantis. They just keep that information from us. But the survivors of Atlantis started the race of man now, So it's like Genesis was really an account of the Lemurians when they split up. At first they were androgynous beings. Meaning they looked like man and woman combined. And they had Adam and Eve within them, the divine feminine and the divine masculine energies within them. And the way that they just reproduce basically asexually. Kind of like how your cells reproduce and they just create other cells, like, identical cells, and it keeps going like that. That's how they produce the androgynous Lemurians, right? According to the stories that I've heard, and I put it all together. And then after that, they changed again into hermaphrodites. They had the penis hanging with the vagina under it, But and they still could reproduce like asexually in a sense, you know what I'm saying? But then after that, they split up and the man and woman, they started giving birth to like man and woman, Adam and Eve, you know what I'm saying, in the Garden of Eden. And they got kicked out of the Garden of Eden. What that means is Earth and Earth's inhabitants got kicked out of a higher dimension because they weren't acting like they was from a higher dimension, you see. Adam and Eve, the group of men and women, they started having sex with each other. That's when the egos came into the picture. Ego of like lust, sexual desires and shit like that. So they got casted out of a higher dimension down to the third dimension, because Earth used to exist, y'all, in the fifth dimensional plane, like aka the mental plane. Earth used to exist there and just there in the mental plane. Earth goes through 7 cycles of existence, my people. 7 is cosmic law, the law of 7, the law of organization. And then you have the 3s, the law of 3, the law of creation. Isis, Osiris, Horus, God the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, mind, body, soul, mind, body, spirit connection. And then you got, the 3s, the conscious mind, the subconscious, and superconscious mind. The law of 3, but the law of 7, right? So Earth goes through seven cycles in its existence. Right now, we're in the 4th cycle. Earth used to exist in the higher dimensions on the 5th dimensional plane, aka the mental plane and the astral plane. From the mental plane, it came down to the astral. Then it existed in the etheric plane, the 4th plane. And this is the 4th cycle, which is the physical plane, where we at right now, Earth, physical 3D Earth. But what it's going to do is go back to the etheric 4th dimension, and it's going to go back to the astral, then it's going to exist in the 5th dimensional plane. And that's going to be the 7 cycles of Earth's existence. Law of evolution and involution. And I'm going to elaborate on that law coming soon. I'm still doing my research and everything and talking to the ancestors they putting me on. But I just wanted to briefly go over that. But when Adam and Eve got kicked out of the garden, they actually got kicked out of a higher dimension down to a 3D dimension. Think about it like this. If you was a 13th dimensional being and you created beings in the 13th dimension, but they acting like they from the 10th, they acting like they're on the 10th grade I mean 10th dimensional frequency, you're gonna have to kick them out. You're gonna have to kick them out because they're not acting the part. You see what I'm saying? They're gonna have to descend to how they're acting. You feel me? And that's what happened to the Adam and Eve and the race of man. Then they weren't acting like the dimension they were created on, so they got demoted. And here we go now. Third dimension. It's your man 5. Peace, y'all.